Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another wonderful tasting of the Virtual Tasting Society. I am, as always, Vadim Perlovsky, and today we're excited to try a brand that is new to us, a brand that's picking up popularity on the East Coast. Jason Sauter has been saying nice things, and we trust his palate. We are here with Filibuster Bourbon. We're excited to welcome Sid. I don't want to butcher your last name.
Sid, that's perfect. Spot on.
There we go. Co-founder and CEO of Filibuster Bourbon, joining us from the other side of the world. Thank you for jumping on with us. We have a fantastic lineup, 6 different expressions that we talked about earlier. We're going to be trying just about everything that kind of paints a perfect picture of the distillery. So super excited to dive in and try all these. For anyone who's here for the first time or hasn't been here in a while, welcome back. All the regulars, lovely to see you again. If you're here, we're here to get nerdy. We're here to ask questions. So please feel free to unmute and ask a question or toss it in the chat. Share your tasting notes. This is not a YouTube video or something where you're just zoned out. We're here to participate, and that's what this is all about. So this is your chance to ask the CEO any questions you may have about his product. All that said, Sid, thank you very much for being here. Welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about Filibuster.
All right. Thank you very much for having me here. I really appreciate and putting up some good words for Filibuster. And I know you are all over. Everybody is somewhere. So, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you all are. And I, would say thank you so much for having me here. I am representing Filibuster. So I am a co-founder and a CEO. With the CEO, a lot of responsibility comes in. With co-founder, I don't think so there is any responsibilities.
Awesome. We have 6 expressions in front of us. We have the Boondoggler, we have the bottle and bond, the single estate, the double cask, and then 2 triple casks. Is there an order you want us to put these in? What would be do you low proof to high proof, or flavor notes, or what do you recommend?
I would recommend to go with a lower proof to higher proof, or what do you guys work? I'm ready to work on the palate, what you guys do in the tasting, but normally like to go lower to higher. So 90 proof to 100 and I think so triple cask Madeira, and should be close to about 116 and 113 proof.
Yeah, I think the only one that I was on the fence about was the double cask, which is the French oak, is a 90 proofer.
Correct.
But so the way I have them lined up is the Boondoggler at 43%.
90 proof.
Okay, yeah, so 90 proof. The double cask at 90 proof, then the bottled and bond at 100, and then the other one's a cask strength essentially.
Yeah, rest of them are cask strength or closer to the cask strengths. So let's go with let's dive into Boondoggler.
You want to tell us a little bit about Filibuster? I mean, we'll pour a sample and smell along.
Yeah,
but we're curious about the history.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
sure. So Filibuster was started in it's 100% family owned company. So it started off in a retail store. So I come from India, and I'm a first generation immigrant out into US. And when I first came into the country, I was without a job. So when I was without a job, the first thing I landed was in a liquor store. And that's where everything started off. So I joined the liquor store, was hoping I'm a computer graduate. So one day I would get into my real field, which is a computer. That's what I know. Animations in the world and all that, but I don't think so that they didn't come up till today. So was still working in the liquor industry. So I went in and asked for a job, and I got a job in one of the liquor stores. There was my first foray into the world of liquor. I coming and I graduate from a computer. I knew there is a brown, there is a whiskey, there is a bourbon, there is a vodka. So for me, everything was white and brown. Didn't have a depth knowledge of what exactly everything is. So in that liquor store, I learned the different variants of brown spirit, like Scotch, bourbon, rums, and everything in the world. So that was my first foray into the real world of the liquor industry. That went very well. And I didn't got a job. And that just had a couple of years and never got a job into the computer world. So, with the help of family, bought a liquor store. So once I bought a liquor store, we as a family, we bought a liquor store. And then that went very well for a couple of years. We did it. My brother joined me as well. And then decided that, we don't want to do another liquor store. There's always something else. So my first time I went to pick up a Four Roses barrel from Kentucky. That was my first thing, holding a thief in my hand, a whiskey thief. And when I holded that and I looked at the barrels, and I just fell in love, like this is what I want to do. This is what my passion and everything. So from there onward, I started doing the blending. So in 2013, we started off doing the blending at Filibuster Distillery, whereas now we have a full production house. So that's how it all started off. First, we were doing only the rectification and the blending. We were buying the spirits from MGP. That went very, very well. That just gives us a confidence that there is the people who were drinking our product. There was an acceptance that the blending, because we wanted to do a dual cask, try to bring up a little bit of a different character. We will go in depth what exactly and how it turned out. But that's where the first thing was, alrighty. So in 2013, we set up a distillery, just a rectification house. That went very well, and that gave us the confidence of doing a bigger step. So in 2016, we started off with a distillation. So, and the reason why we chose Morristown as a Virginia was for the water source. So we sit on about close to 80 feet of limestone water, which is fantastic. I think so. That was a marriage made in heaven. A great water source with a high pH, high limestone, no copper, there was high copper, high in zinc, but zero in iron. So we figured out this is one of the better properties we can find out. The fermentation came out to be beautiful over there because we have a thick concrete building. So, that's the reason why we went out there. And then the way we set up our supply chain, which we are very proud of it. Our grain comes locally from Virginia. It's 100% where we buy all our grains from. It comes from a small local farmers. And it's a full cycle as well. So we are 100%. I won't say we are 100% recycled. So every drop of grain which comes out goes to a farmer. He feeds his cows. So that's like a complete supply chain which we see every day, and which we're very proud of it. That it's a zero waste kind of a thing at the moment. That's a little bit about Filibuster and our family.
Awesome. So now everything you bottle is distilled on site, or are you still sourcing a little bit?
We do not source anything except the triple cask, where the reason why we source a little bit out of it, because we use sweet mash, and there's about 8 to 10% from MGP, another big distillery out here, where we do just the reason why we have to add a little bit of the sour mash, kind of a high rye, is because our bourbon was coming out to be too sweeter. So we wanted to add a little bit of a spice cut with the rye. It's a high rye bourbon, so not rye in it, but it's a very high rye bourbon. So that's the reason we source a little bit of an MGP at this point of time. But apart from that, everything what you see over there is 99%. Is there. The reason why I'm saying 99 is 1% is because of a triple cask.
Gotcha. And where does the name come from?
Grain comes from a local Shenandoah County. We are in Virginia, so Page Co-op is another one about 20 miles from us. Before that, we also buy from what's his name, Matthias Brothers. So he's been primarily one of our big farmers. Page Co-op, because now we are producing 24/7. So by doing 24/7, it happened to be now we have to buy more grain, and we have to venture out from Shenandoah County to Page Co-op, which is another next county to us. About 20 minutes from a distillery.
Very cool. All right, well, I'm ready to try to dig into the Boondoggler. There's a 5-year-old bottle at 90 proof.
Correct. So Boondoggler, it's a very interesting story. It's a very interesting story about the Boondoggler. As filibuster means cuts the bill in the politics, and Boondoggler means being busy getting nothing done. So the reason why we named it Boondoggler, so one of our finance manager, Keith, came into the distillery about 6 years ago, 5 years ago, something like that. And me and the blending team, we're working on this Boondoggler project. It gives me a giggle and a laugh just because how it came out too. So we were working on this blend and lifting up a few barrels from here, getting up from there. And when we did that, he was doing, just checking everything. And sarcastically, he went in and said, "Can you stop boondoggling?" And I didn't know what exactly that means. And so one of my John, who was another blender with us, so he said, "No, we're not boondoggling, we're working." So he said, "That's what it means." And I said, like, "What does that mean?" He said, "Because it seems like you are busy, but you are not busy. You kind of just drinking here." But that's what happens in distillery, kind of you don't do nothing, but the magic happens. So it's a 45 corn, 45 rye, and a 10% malted barley. So that's the combined. The reason what it is, it's not a bourbon, or neither it's a rye, because of two reasons. It's because in our portfolio everything is bourbon, so we didn't have anything in the whiskey format. So what we do in this one is we use old barrels, used bourbon barrels in this one. So when we use used bourbon barrels, one, it gives us the cost advantage because as we know, bourbon has to be made in a new charred American oak. And then once that is done, the only thing majority of the bourbon barrels landed up in Scotland or for the breweries. So it lands up somewhere in the world, but we reuse it for the Boondoggler. So we try to cut the caramelization from the big char. So it's a lighter style of whiskey, a very pleasant, easy drinking, great fits to a palate, which people just do not like a big bourbon. I mean, there are days where you like to have a more. I like your cat. What's the name?
You'll be surprised. His name is Whiskey.
Perfect. Yeah, I have a dog. His name is Wish, which we miss him at the moment. He's back home. So all right, coming back to Boondoggler. So it's a blend of bourbon and rye in a 45 corn, 45 rye, and then it goes into 5 different barrels. The reason why it goes into 5 different barrels is we try to bring up a French oak influence to it, and then we also try to bring up a little bit of an American oak. So we try to bring up a big bourbon flavor to it. So that's why we will add about a 1 barrel kind of a new barrel bourbon, and rest we do roughly always do about 10 to 15 barrel batch. So if we are doing a 15 barrel batch, there will be about two or at the most 3 new oak. Rest will be all in a used oak. Cheers to all. So what all guys getting on this Boondoggler?
Lots of fruit on that. That's very enjoyable. Very easy to drink. Nice little spice at the end. Mm.
Yes.
I get fruit, but I also get like a little bit like a cocoa powder.
I thought that was because I had a piece of chocolate earlier, but I was getting like a little bit of chocolate mocha on there, so cocoa powder for sure. Yeah, I thought it was just Mm.
Just to let you know, I am at at 7 a.m. in the morning where I am. So my palate at the moment is as fresh you can ever get. I am getting more of a honeysuckle and pineapple. I'm not sure is anybody getting that on the Boondoggler at the moment.
I can see the pineapple.
Yeah,
It's got kind of a
the reason why
there's a spike note to that citrus fruit. That if you just let your brain kind of go there, it goes, yeah, that's like fresh pineapple. I got to taste this at a tasting up here in Michigan once, and it was one of the ones that actually stood out the most because, to your point, is it's so approachable, but it is still interesting. Because there's a lot of whiskey that is approachable but gets boring. But this one was interesting and it stays approachable at the same time. I don't have to struggle with it. I can enjoy it, but it has a lot of unique things going on.
Thank you. Yeah, the reason why it gets it because of a different barrel combination. Because you use the French oak, we use American oak in this one. We bring up an old oak and a new oak. So the combination of a new and old, it's a very drastic difference between we see it, on a scale on a color. I think so. Boondoggler comes a very lighter style, very lighter whiskey. Like on a color. Whereas bourbon will be deep amber color, this will be a very lighter color as well. So that also because the caramelization doesn't happen in the barrel too quicker, but this is about close to 4 and 5 years old whiskey, whereas bourbon we do for 4 years. So it also takes a little longer to mature in a barrel compared to new bourbon. But you said, yeah, there is a complexity and there's a complex and there's a layers of flavor to it, which I really enjoyed. There's a mystery in this glass, I think. So always when I drink it, I always call it, there is a mystery in this glass because you're not sure exactly what you're getting on the next palate. Whiskey tastes good at 7 o'clock.
When you're bottling at 45, are you chill filtering on this one?
No. In all of our products, we do not chill filter at all. Everything is done through carbon filtration. And to tell you a little story on the reason why we do carbon filtration and only use 14 carbon filter instead of 19. I am not sure what's the industry standard, what everybody use and how to, but when the carbon filtration pad comes in, there is 24 plates. So I come from a retail background, and when I was in a retail, I met a producer because I was a wine buyer and a liquor buyer for the store, officially, unofficially, because I had a full-time job, but I still used to come out and help the store, just hang out there. And I was a wine buyer and a liquor buyer. So there was a producer who came from Cognac, and he was explaining why he cut down on a filtration on the pads. Because he said that he didn't want to have the oil strip off too much. So he, in a Cognac they use a larger filter pads and use a bigger carbon filters. I think they use like close to 50 or 60 pads. But he said he cut down to, I don't know exactly the number, but he gave me some number that he cut down like 4 or 5 out of it so that he can get the flavor out of it. And when I started doing the Filibuster dual cask, and I suddenly remember, he did that. I did an experiment with 10, 15, and 19. And I figured out that between 12 and 15 was an ideal. So we cut down on our filtration so that you can get more flavor out of it rather than stripping everything into carbon as well. So that's the reason, some of our whiskeys are a little bit more oily. If you guys just stick your hand into our expression, you will see that it has a little bit of more viscosity and this compared to some other bourbons. And the other good thing in our project is that we don't come with any baggage. There was no big. There is hardly about 8 to 10 hours of consultancy. We hired people to just have our consultancy. So everything is completely fresh, good or bad. We do not know. You guys can be our judge and tell us what we have done or why we have done. But practically, like this is hit and trial, get there, doing experiments, doing it right or not, we do not know, but it happens.
That was really good. Pleasantly surprised.
Thank you.
You want to move on to the dual cask? I know Jason loves.
Absolutely. That's our baby, which kept our lights on for the longest time.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So this was our first bourbon when we first launched it. So dual cask. The reason why we did a dual cask is because this was our flagship. We never came out with the first bourbon, which is anything. So this one just came out in the market. And when we did was a French oak barrel. The reason why we wanted to do it at that point of time, the bourbon industry, there was not too many finished products. Everything was corn, rye, barley, wheat, fermented, mash bill, distilled, and into the barrels. That's about the industry was. So when we wanted to join this industry, so there was I was always intrigued by all these different kinds of barrels. So we chose a reason why we chose French oak barrel to start off with, because we think the bourbon has a great flavoring profile. A lot of cherry comes in, a lot of cocoa, a lot of chocolate comes in. But the element which is always missing is that like a tropical character in the bourbon, which we used to use a French oak barrel, prominently a white wine, Chardonnay, and then we also mix it with, it's a 60-40 blend. So it's about 60% is our Chardonnay and about 40% is our red wine. So that malolactation just keeps up a pretty note on top of it. Just brings up this beautiful hint of more tropical character. Cheers again. Let's dig into it and see what is it. Do you guys all have batch 43 of the dual cask?
Vadim, you just muted
You're
yourself.
muted.
You were on.
Perfect. Boondoggler was batch 43. Dual cask is batch 67.
67. Okay, so I have 46. So our palette might be a little different because it's a small batch. So we it's going to be a little different what I am getting and what you guys will be getting from that bottle. And again, we do about 10 to 15 barrel batch every time. We're not a mass production. We don't do 100 barrels at a time. We don't dump it. So it's about roughly 10 to 15 barrels batch, and we get about close to 36 cases from each barrel, give or take. Sometimes it's a little more higher. So between 34 to 36 cases. That's what we get.
34 to 36. Okay.
6 packs, not 12 pack.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And you said you're using French oak, but in a barrel size, right?
Yeah, it's a Burgundy barrel, so 63 gallons instead of 53 gallons. I know some of you use liters, but in over here we use gallons, so 53 gallons. This one is 63 gallons. So these are Burgundy barrels,
Gotcha.
used Burgundy barrels, but we buy it from Remy from California, a winemaker. Another interesting story on it. So when I first started off, I met him, David Remy, at our store, where it was just chit-chatting it, and became a good friends. And they make one of the best Chardonnays, I think so, or closer to top 5 Chardonnays in the country. And when I started this project, I took up a phone and called him. I said, David, is there any possibility we can get French oak barrels from you? I said, yeah, absolutely. And he sent us, we tried it, we loved it, and then onward there's a relationship. We still have it for over 10 years now. Any notes?
There's some nice spice up front, but it sweetens out near the finish, like kind of like a little honey caramel that I like.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, you're right. I do get a little bit of so I think so. Dual cask is very different in terms of bourbon palate. So it is not, again, one of, so as we get onto our next the next one, you will see that has kind of a big bourbon in your face, like, so dual cask is from a Boondoggler. If we take our journey, so Boondoggler is a very lighter style, and then we get to the dual cask, there is that element of a bourbon, but it also shows up a little character of that floralness, the pininess which comes into it.
This one is very delicate. But like Amanda said, there's quite a bit of spice on it on the finish. Very interesting.
I think this would be easy to sit and drink.
I know, it's very easy. It's very approachable, not trying to be anything, but it's a early, if somebody doesn't want to like a early starter bourbon, this is exactly a good way of getting into the bourbon as well. This is like, it has the elements of a good bourbon, but it also have an element of that silkiness, that silkiness comes out of it. So Tony said I get a grassy taste too. Which one he's talking about? Was it bourbon? Yep, you're right, Tony. Actually, you get a little bit of the spiciness. You're right on that. Spot on. Jason smells the French oak spice, but a lot of grassy tea notes too. Yeah, perfect. Great palate.
And I'm looking on your website. This one's only $42. That's a great sipping whiskey right there.
If you go through our whole portfolio, we do not price our bourbons exorbitantly. Like, everything is not over $100. It's a very small batches, but we try to keep everything at a very affordable price. We do our costing very closely, very subtle. Like, we don't want to be a price which is like off the roof. So everything is very approachable. I think the most expensive you will see in our portfolio would be about $89 to about $90 retail. that would be a triple cask on our bottle and bond. But rest everything is between $30 or $25. Boondoggler is about $25 to $30. So from 25 to 30 to all the way to about $90. That's about it.
Why is the bottle and bond on the pricier side?
Because of two reasons. One, there is an extra care. So are we jumping on on bottle and bond now?
I think that's a good segue. You opened it up for us.
Yeah. So the bottle and bond, because there is an extra touch and care which is required. In Boondog on the bottle and bond, what we do is we select our top 15 barrels every year. You know, it is to our palate. Our team decides that these are the top 15 barrels we think which are showing very well. So that's the two reasons why we price is a little higher. Is one, because of everything is being has to be superly like monitored, supervised. We cannot let the barrel go out of the warehouse. It has to be under the same roof. So extra care, extra turn, and too much of labor involved in all picking up about 15 barrels on doing a bottle and bond, and it's 100 proof. So that's the reason it's a little bit pricier than our regular product.
I thought it was just the wax.
The wax takes almost two people almost to do it. So our production stops because once we are not used to doing it on all of our products. So the first factor is that it is a labor intensive job. Secondly, it is just like we do only once a year, and hand selecting all those 15 barrels, the extra touch and care, which is also is a big thing. So just a few factors which makes it a little bit more expensive.
Makes a lot of sense, yeah.
So a bottle bond is going to be 100 proof, if is it 2022 batch or 23 batch? It should be behind the.
This is batch 2022-001.
So this was the last year, and this also won the best bourbon in the world, awarded by the World Whiskey Awards. Outside they started this new category, the non-Kentucky bourbon. So this is the first non-Kentucky bourbon to win the World Whiskey Award, World Bourbon Award. So this was the best bourbon awarded at the show. So which we are very, very proud of it. I think so. Kudos to our team who did a fantastic job in creating this product, and a 5 years old tastes like no shorter than 8, 9, 10 years old bourbon.
I've noticed you have a kosher signature on the back. So it's certified kosher. That's interesting.
Correct. So this one is certified kosher, and our single estate is also certified kosher. So two of our products are certified kosher because, as you know, the kosher, you cannot use any wine influence, and all our yeast, all our enzymes, and are all kosher certified. So, there is a process we have to go through it, which we also like, to have our friends who enjoy only kosher products. So, we don't want them to left behind.
That's great.
Does that also mean a heavy duty cleaning of the stills and the mash tuns before doing a run of the distillate and process for the bottled or for the kosher ones? You have to do a full clean sweep of everything? Absolutely.
We have to do a clean sweep of everything. We very respect the religion, everybody who has it. So we take an extra care and going an extra step ahead to make sure that, we we do what we are supposed to do it. So absolutely, you're spot on that. That the cleaning is required, and then because when we do a batch for single estate, that whole thing has to be do it because it's a similar process. The dual cask only happens after the barreling, so there is a very zero chance of contamination of kosher and non-kosher product.
Very cool. I love how much information's on the back label. I just looked on the back and 72-hour fermentation. That's pretty long.
That's the standard. That's what we do it for all of our products.
Okay.
Actually, it goes a little over 72, but 72 is the base we have used because earlier when these bottles were started, like bottle and bond, we were only doing one shift. So technically, fermentation sometimes used to get 78 to 80 hours. We were not spot on 72, but some of them used to be standard 72 because we used to do in the morning and then was not distilling in the nights or in the evening and used to do it in the following morning. So even it used to go 72 plus hours as well, sometimes some batches. But all these batches are very close to like 72 to 73, 4 hours.
Are you running these through a column still or a pot still?
Yeah, we do a double distill. All our bourbons are double distilled. So we do a column distillation, and then we run through a pot or a thumper or a doubler. The reason why we went up with this doubler and the column distillation was of two big factors, because we wanted to have a price point and amount of research and the little knowledge we had figured out that pot still is a lot of labor intensive work, and as we all know, labor can get very expensive. It's a big downtime for it, so we opted for we opted by Vendome, and we laid out a project that we want to be a profitable head. We are not a house which is funded from somewhere else. We don't have a big cash burn. So we wanted to make sure that whatever is done in a way where we are profitable. Otherwise, we will not survive. So column distillation was the perfect way. There is a perfect balance of a taste because we also use doubler on the second. So it takes a lot of copper influence over there. So it brings up both are best worlds.
Oh, this one's real spicy. Oof.
The bottle and bond?
Yeah. I'm getting a lot of spice. It's definitely got the fruit in the middle, but whew, got it. Light.
It has a 20%, closer to 20% of rye.
Okay. What's the mash bill on this?
Spicy in it. It's a 70, 20, and 10.
Okay. And it looks like this is a single farm as well. That's interesting. I'm just cheating. I have the back of the bottle as notes.
Yep. If you look at all our bottles, we'll always tell you, especially on a bottle and bond and a single estate. That's you can really So this one is HWK farm. That was one of our first farmer we used to work with, Hopkins Farms, HWK. So that's why we said we are very proud of our supply chain, that we work directly with the smaller farmers. There are not too many middlemen involved. So they give us the Chicago Trade Board prize as well. So they make an extra buck, which we are fine. That we know it's going straight to the person who is doing this. So it's not going through the layers of somebody. So which is a very good thing, and we can certainly be proud that the grain quality, everything comes out is spot on.
And I want to try this side by side with the single estate. Single estate looks like a four grain, right?
Yeah. So our first we started off was a corn rye wheat. We didn't use wheat in our mash bill, but as we are getting older, all our products are coming out with a wheat. We use a little bit of a wheat in all our mash bills. So our next batch of bottle in pond, which was released, that is with wheat as well. But the reason why when we first started off, we were not using a lot of wheat because of a fact, because wheat takes a little longer. I think so. The sweet spot of aging for the wheat is about close to 4-ish plus year. So that's the reason we didn't release the wheat before that. But now, as the wheat is there, so all our products has a little bit of wheat, and they're all age statement close to 4-ish.
Was this done on purpose? 55.55 ABV. Single estate.
What we do is
111.10.
what was that? Sorry.
I said the single estate came out to be 111.1.
Yeah. When we do our barrel, when we do our proofing check on a single barrel, because it's a true single barrel, we look at it where it fits the best. With our experience, we figured out that there are 3 best proof works with our products. 100 and close to 116, 117 works very well. And then in case if we think that 116, 117 sometimes is not achievable because of some reason in that, we bring it down to about 111. That's where its sweet spot is. And as we know, a single barrel, all the barrels are always different as well. So we have had the highest proof as 122. That's the highest we have had. But our entry level, the barrel is 120 proof. So sometime that's the only barrel we have had a higher at 122. But majority of a barrel, we lose about 4 or 5 proof at about 4 years.
I'm getting like a bubblegum note on the nose. I don't know if anyone else is getting that on this single estate. Look for it. See if you can find bazooka in there.
Yeah, like the what is it? The big hard pink ones that have the stuff on the outside. Hubba Bubba.
I'm thinking bazooka bubblegum.
Yeah, I definitely get the
double bubble. Yeah,
bubblegum
that's the
note.
same thing.
Bubble, yeah.
Now I want one of those cartoon things. A little comic strip.
Bazooka Joe.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting.
I've been on our single estate, I get a lot of this walnut. It's always like that grain or that proof. On our single estate, I get a lot of the walnut, which is very prominent, which is not prominent in the bourbon, but I just get that walnut in our single estate, especially.
Kind of like a candied walnut.
Yeah, it's like a chewy walnut kind of a thing, pecan. Like pecan and a walnut. Sometimes I get confused between pecan and walnut. I'll be honest.
Yeah, it's closer to pecans. Yeah, I would say.
Maybe like a praline.
Mm-hmm. That's a great behind you. Where are you?
I'm on the
Tony?
single estate.
What
Where did you mean
bar
by
is it
located?
behind? Where you're located, I mean.
Oh, I'm in Florida.
Nice.
In the backdrop is a bar that I like going to.
Fantastic. They let you come in at this time?
Tracy, are you enjoying this one? What do you think of this one?
Yeah, what you had said about the spiciness, I definitely, when I first tasted it, man, it came on strong. But as you drink it, it's getting easier. I like it.
Is it getting easier or are you just getting acclimated?
It's getting easier to
It's easy to acclimate to get easier.
Yeah, that's it.
I just put a few drops of water like somebody suggested. Not a bad idea.
That smooths it out a little too much. I don't know if I put too much water in, but it kind of just mellows it out a little too much.
I don't like water in my bourbon at all. I don't know why. It used to be, but higher the proof, the better it gets for me.
I just use a eyedropper and a little water bottle. And that's it. So I can do like one drop at a time. Because out of the bottle, I probably pour almost half the first time. Drink that, then like another third, and put in a drop. And then the last third, I'll add a couple drops to it just to see.
Tony,
So,
what'd you
yep.
think on the water this time?
I just put it in, so give me a second.
I just went back to the bottle and bond, and oh my goodness, on the nose, just mocha chocolate frappuccino. So good.
With
Just smell the
water,
glass.
me, it gave it like a stone fruit taste. Maybe like grilled peaches. You know, something like that.
Yeah, Tony, I definitely get a stone fruit note in it too.
Yeah.
With water or without a water?
With like one drop of water and a third of the sample.
I get it without because I
opens
haven't.
up.
I can't find any of my droppers, so I had it without the water. I don't know where they all went. I think someone small with dimples might be to blame.
My cat keeps carrying off my Apple Pencil.
Cool. Are we on the?
Yeah, let's move on to the triple casks. Tell us about this. You have quite a few triple casks on the website, and hard to know what to choose.
So the reason why we came up with a triple cask is that as we have mastered the dual cask finishing process, and we can be very proud of it, that we know what's the maturation and when it gets there. So we exactly know how to play around with the barrel, not getting overpowered with a French oak, not being overpowered by a sherry. In our Boondoggler, we also use a little bit of a sherry oak. So, we have understood the balance of how to do it and when to do it. So it was obvious that we have to throw our hat into a bigger and a vast majority of triple casks. So because we do sherry, we have done, we only release 1 or 2 batches at a time. It's not like, it is a standard product. So triple cask is a very limited. So every time the bottle and bond is only 15 barrels a batch. Triple cask is also very similar to that. Like we'll allocate about 15, 16 barrels. And then we'll do all these different finishes, So the one you have is, you said Madeira. And so Madeira, the reason why we do Madeira and It is going to be beautifully well balanced. You're not going to have overpower of that the fortified wine in it. It's going to be very subtle. That's the style of all our products. We don't like to go overboard with a lot of other products. Like a sherry, it's just sherry all over. It should be, and it is, but it's not overpowered sherry. You will see in our Madeira as well as in Moscatel. They're both very well balanced.
So tell us about the process. I'm reading the back label. You're taking 5-year-old bourbons from Virginia and Indiana, obviously MGP, and your own distillate, and then so you're finishing in the wine cask, right?
Yes. So yes, correct. So what we do is we'll take a 5 years old our product, about fill the barrel to about 50 gallons or whatever, like 80-90% will be our own. I like it. It's so cute. She's all over you. So we'll do that, and then as the time comes for bottling, we will add the MGP just so that it's not overpowered sweet and becomes a syrupy sweet. So we will analyze it at the last minute. When I say last minute, means sometimes it's a 6 months old. I think so. Madeira is 6 months in a Madeira oak. So at about a junction about 5 months, we'll try it, and then we'll add the rest of MGP into it, the high rye bourbon. So that just brings up, we know it that it's about the right balance at that point of time. We don't mix it right away, and so that like we have no room for improvement. So that's how we do it. It's a very unconventional way of blending, but that's how we do it, and that's how we have done it. So we take pride in it.
I kept trying to figure out where's the triple cask coming from, and I finally looking at the label, really well done, because that, if you really look closely, the 3 barrels that are stacked on here that show the triple cask, I finally get it. It took me a little while. Sorry, I'm a little slow. Essentially, It shows an MGP cask, a Filibuster cask, and a Madeira cask. So you take those 2 bourbon casks and put them in Madeira. That's the triple cask.
Correct.
Okay. So it'd be 2 bourbons from like 2 virgin American oaks combined into Madeira, but because those 2 are different, that makes sense. Okay. Because like, what's the third?
Yeah.
Like the bourbon and the Madeira, and what's the third? I thought you were doing the French oak or something, but yeah, that makes sense.
Have you ever come out of one of the finishes and said, you know what, we don't need to change this at all. We don't need to add the MGP. It's perfect as it is. Have you ever had that happen?
So we're doing a cider cask, which has not released yet. So in that one, we have not added anything, because cider itself is a little drier, and our product is not very sweet, but it's on the sweeter side because we use a sweet mash bill. So on that one, we are not adding anything else on that so far. We have not come to the conclusion yet, but I think so. Where we going? I think so. It will not be triple cask. It will be just a straight. But it's a little early at the moment. We have not reached our benchmark. So to your answer, yes, we are trying with an experiment, but nothing is out yet. So everything is triple cask in that series with MGP.
I really get the Madeira influence on this. It's got that great kind of caramelized figgy note to it that
Just
You're
really
spot on.
neat.
I was about to say
Neat but
fig.
funky.
yeah, I get
That
it.
was
Yeah,
spot
it's
on.
like
When she said fig,
but I
I
can
was about
really
to
get the
speak
Madeira.
that I get fig. I really enjoy when there's a bigger panel to try with, like 6 people, rather than just talking to one at this. I love it. Like the wider audience and wider palettes, trying in a different world, different climates, different temperatures.
I have to try this with a couple of drops. You were right that it could come off a little sweet, but I'm glad towards the middle you get that kick of spice, probably from the MGP. It's very, very interesting. This one smelled totally different from all the other expressions to me. But it's not nearly.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It didn't taste as hot as the previous two.
I mean, you have acclimatized your palate to the higher proof now.
Water
Yeah,
really
with him, I
changes
agree
it.
that spice keeps it from getting, it's almost too sweet, but that spice balances it out nicely.
Water brings out more of the Madeira, I think.
Correct. I agree with you. I don't have a dropper, so I'll use the old school cap.
I use my fingers, so it works.
Yep.
Which one you guys on?
Madeira?
Triple cask Madeira. You're gonna have to rush through the other four.
He can do it. He's a champ.
Or I could drink them later while watching TV. What up, fool? Option A and B.
That's right. Or watching the
Order
it's-
your sushi and then drink your whiskey.
Yep. I had a sushi last night, so that's fresh on my palate yet.
Indian sushi. Is it good sushi in India?
Oh yeah, it's a very multicultural now. So I'm coming here after 6 years, almost 6. Yeah.
Where
So,
in India are you?
There's at the moment I am in Delhi, but the moment I get off this, we will be heading up to Jaipur, which I'm very excited. So when I said Jaipur, my kids are, let's go quick. I said, yeah, we're getting there.
I went to an Indian's friend's wedding in Baltimore, many years ago.
Baltimore,
And-
India?
Yeah.
No,
And
Baltimore, US.
and the priest took us through a tour of the temple. It was amazing. I loved it.
Oh, yeah, Indian weddings are big fat weddings.
Well, the funny part,
Oh,
he
I can hear you.
He couldn't understand what the priest was saying, and his wife or future wife or wife at the time, whatever you want to call it, she kept leaning over and telling him like what to do. So after the actual ceremony, we're like, Uday, are you actually married? Do you really think you are? Supposedly the biggest Indian temple, Buddhist temple, Indian temple, is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
information to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm full of useless knowledge.
I wouldn't say that's useless. It's useful.
It's useful. to somebody. Just tried the Bottle and Bond. After opening up, it is just fantastically showing. I think so. So far, what do you think about our products?
I'm enjoying them. They're all really good. They all have different qualities and different notes and different mouthfeels. And I think it makes them an interesting umbrella of flavors and products.
Cool. Thank you.
And they're well put together and they don't taste young. A lot of craft whiskeys you try and you're like, I could see this being good in the future. These are actually very tasty right now. That's very impressive. Well done.
Thank
And
you.
how long,
Thank you.
how long has it been since you've been distilling your own now?
We started in 2016. That was our first batch. So in the Bottle and Bond, you have it. There are 1 or 2 barrels from our first batch in that in the Bottle and Bond.
Yeah, very good.
Not
you,
to
sir.
divert from the whiskeys, but I see you have a cardamom gin.
Yes. Yeah, we do very interesting combinations on our gin portfolio. So we do double botanical dips. So we will do one in form of distillation, which is our steaming. And then we also do a second, like cardamom, is we will have our base spirit ready for the entire year. And then we'll use steel barrels, and then we will do a tea bagging style of botanical. So we will take a fresh cardamom, wrap up in a cheesecloth, and throw it into that. So it turned out to be fantastic. Didn't expect it to be will come out that way. So now we do pink peppercorn gin like that. We do rose petal gin, very dry. So we are playing with this gin with the different botanicals. Just a single botanical, like we'll do a first form of botanicals, which is we'll use almond, ginger root. So we'll use all these 5 or 6 botanicals on that, juniper berries and all. But the second is just a hint of our last thing. Very unconventional way of making gin, but this is what we do and how we do it. Everything is very unconventional in our distillery.
Excellent.
All right, I'm moving on to the Moscatel. Join me, won't you?
I don't have Moscatel with me, so I'll just rely on your palates.
You got this.
Wow, that smells good.
Amanda's right. Let's get Jason, Souter, Shane, and Tim back on the Zoom with us. There we go. Jason's on it. He was waiting. He was just waiting. He was doing his hair. There we go. Look at those. Look at those smiles.
Look at those.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Raise a glass, pour something in it. Say cheers. Thank you all for being here. And Sid, thank you for joining us. Everyone smile to the camera.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful. That's awesome.
You got that. Ben, are you going to share the Zoom link with us once it's ready, or are you going to do the edit and then share it?
You give me too much credit. What is this edit you speak of?
Edit?
All right.
Seriously?
That was a
Just
vote
trying
of
to-
confidence.
Every video is the director's cut. Every video.
Everybody's got an opinion, all right? Who wants to volunteer to edit the videos? I don't see any hands going up. Exactly. I want people to get the real
right.
experience. I don't want them to
Live
feel
and uncut.
like something got edited. Yeah, you know.
That's a good one. Live and uncut.
How do we feel about this Moscatel?
I
Man,
could
think
drink
Tom's
this
trying to offer-
all day. Lovely.
Mm.
You would put a straw in it?
You betcha. Just take it with me and stick it in my arm.
That's just amazing.
And this is lovely.
Thank you.
I think when we were first doing tastings a while ago, we discovered an Armagnac cask, and somebody, and this is a sexist way to put it, but it said, cognac's the girl you want to marry, Armagnac's the girl you want to date. And to me, with this, it's like port may be the girl you want to date, but Muscatel, I think, might be the girl. I mean, port's the girl you want to marry. This is the girl you want to date. This is fun. It's got that port sweetness, but it is aggressive and fun and woody. I like it quite a bit.
I'll take it. I'll take a date, marry, and everything.
Which one's
Some people do marry the fun, aggressive girl.
I know. I mean, I did. You know, not everyone can do that.
I think that should be our new, like, either our new poll or our new rating system: date, marry, kill.
I was gonna say, which bottle are you gonna kill?
I'll not kill any bottle. I'm a peace lover, so I don't kill anybody.
I don't know. Some of these bottles are gonna end up dead by the end of this weekend.
Yeah, I had to say before
Sure.
this, I had not heard of your brand, but I'm really glad I signed up for this one because I've enjoyed all of the pours tonight.
Yep, I agree, definitely.
I appreciate. Thank you. I appreciate.
I'm a huge Muscatel fan, so you really get the notes on all of this. And the shoot. It's really lovely.
So he just put out a survey. Would I be able to know what was your favorite, everybody's favorite, just so
Yeah.
that I know?
Yeah. As soon as everybody's done voting, we need
That was a tough choice.
yeah.
It really was.
Sid, what do you think was the group's favorite?
I would say it is one of the triple cask.
Well, you will be surprised. 40% voted for the
it's-
bottled and bond. And then the triple casks are tied for second place. Wow.
And no taker for single estate. I'm surprised. Wow.
As their favorite of the night, right? The single estate is great if that was the only bottle on the table. But of their favorite of the night,
Yeah.
this is the way it worked out.
Yeah,
Pretty
if I
cool.
could have two choices, single state would have been my second.
What was your first?
Bottle and bond.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Didn't care for the two triple casks?
It was a little too much. It was too much.
Too
For
too
me.
sweet? Just too much wine influence, or what was it?
I don't know, too complex maybe.
Okay.
Too complex.
Yeah, I know that sounds like a weird answer, but
I've had
It's
whiskeys
very
like that
interesting.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when the red
So you're a majorly or more straight bourbon fan. Yeah, so it makes sense. If you're a purist and you don't like any influence of anybody, so this sometimes bottle and bond shine it's on its own because it's a pure classic old school bourbon.
Yeah.
Bond was my number one until I tasted the Madeira cask.
Excellent.
Yeah, I did notice you trying to lead the chat, influence people over there, Mr. Influencer.
My apologies to the group.
Don't call the winning horse halfway through the race, you know. Anyone else think their favorite was going to be something different than what it ended up being? Lori, what'd you vote for?
The Bottle and Bond.
Really? I thought you were Moscatel all day long. Wow.
You know, no, I like the different notes in it, and you know, it hit that right ABV for me. That was pleasant. At this, my second would have been the Muscatel, because like want to rub that all over my body. It's just it's really good. When you put the poll up, I was talking about the Muscatel, and I went, oh shoot, you know, I wasn't sure, but these are all great. I mean, I love all of them. You know, the dual cask is this easy, a little too easy drinking thing that I'm going to go buy right as soon as I can, because it's just the super sipping lovely thing.
Thank you. Yeah. If anybody wants it, they can also buy online. Go to our website. We list all our online partners, and it is available in 18 states. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter to know, and we keep updating it. But if somebody wants an online, I know some states we cannot ship, some states we can through our third-party vendors or this, so they can also check it from there. Yeah, Modern Liquors is you can pretty much get everything from there as well. They have all our
your store, the liquor store you started at. Are you still part of that, or?
Correct.
Okay.
More not, but you know, it's still under the family somewhere.
Okay.
It's still, my dad still owns that liquor store.
Nice. Okay. Very cool. And that's based in, where is that? Is that still Virginia?
Washington, D.C.
Ah, so no taxes.
Yeah, well, if we are shipping to Florida, I don't know. I used to remember all those, but now I don't get into that, and I don't want to give any misinformation to anybody.
I think we ordered some like really high-end bottles from Washington D.C. at some point because we saved the taxes for California. So it ended up being like, you know, if you order $1,000 worth of bottles, it pays for the shipping. You win.
Correct.
Yeah,
that is correct.
Store knew what they were doing.
Their
shipping was pretty exorbitant.
Yeah, sometimes the prices can be.
Okay, here's a weird question. I looked on your website. You have a non-alcoholic thing. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So that non-alcoholic is what we do is we actually strip the alcohol from there. So we use the botanicals. What we use on this is a lime, Himalayan salt. So it's my grandfather recipe because he was a non-drinker. So he would make this drink every afternoon or in the evening, a very refreshing summer drink. So he would use salt, lime, and mint to make it. So I use those three botanicals into this. So this is my tribute to my grandfather.
So what type of a cocktail would you make with that? Could you do any kind of gin-based cocktail, or?
You can do a gin-based cocktail, and we have been at our distillery. We use a strawberry shrub and a pineapple shrub with this one. It goes beautiful with that because in Virginia, as per law, we can only serve 2 cocktails or a 4 half-ounce drink. And if somebody is dining with us, not dining, if somebody is coming to our tasting room, so you know, after that, we can serve you n number of cocktails with this non-alcoholic. So that's what we do it with. So we have two cocktails at the moment going on over there. One is with a pure pineapple shrub, and the other one we use with the strawberry shrub. So you know, it has worked very well with that.
Cool, thank you. It's fascinating.
And I'm seeing what a 3-pack of your bourbons, the Boondoggler double, the dual cask, and the single estate for $100. That's a crazy deal. I feel like some of those are gonna get snapped up.
Buy. Buy as much as you can.
You need a triple pack of the other ones, the ones that got voted on too.
That's a full price today.
Is there anything in terms of the environmentally that you feel affects your aging process at all? You know, we talk about different regions of, even within especially within the United States, of how a Texas distillery versus a Kentucky distillery versus a Minnesota distillery or an Oregon distillery, and how the aging process happens there. How does the environment in Virginia, in your area of Virginia, which I believe is a little bit mountainous, my East Coast and West Virginia geography is still up to date. How does that affect your barreling and your aging process?
So majority of our barrels, what we try today, are all done in a thick concrete building warehouse. We are building our rick houses. So, to do a fair comparison, I think so once those products are out, then I would be able to comment better. So we have a very Scottish style weather kind of in the distillery itself, because it's a thick 18 inches concrete and it has a concrete floor. So, and the boiler is also in that. So it's a 12,000 square feet warehouse. That's where we store all our barrels at this point in time. Our next few batches, we have started now using an outside rick houses, which is more climatic control, not control, I mean more climate source. So, it's going to have extreme heat and extreme this. So that's the reason for that.
Awesome. Anyone have any other questions? I think we covered everything. These Moscatel and Madeira casks are delicious, and they're going to.
Thank you.
Oh.
Alrighty. Any questions for me?
No, I think we're good. I think that was really enjoyable. Unless somebody else has a question, we're gonna let you hang out with your kids and enjoy the day.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Well, Sid, thank you so much. Thanks for spending the evening with us, or morning with us. Hope you enjoyed your morning cup of tea.
Bourbon. Morning cup of bourbon.
Yeah. That's what we all do
Thank
on
you,
our
everyone.
office meetings, Just make sure you drink it out of a mug and blow on it periodically.
Exactly. Thank you,
Exactly.
Sid. That was
Thank
great.
you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Sid.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one.